Hey friends, Essence here, and today we are talking about self-love and sobriety, being alcohol free, or maybe for you it's just reducing your alcohol intake or reducing whatever your vice is, whether it's food, men, or shopping. Okay, because I really believe that what I'm going to share with you today and how self love helped me to stop drinking, I really think that it can apply to many things. So, this video is going to be for you if you are someone who wants to stop drinking or stop doing whatever your vice is, or again, significantly reduce it. If you want to stop feeling shame for drinking, even if it's just a couple of glasses of wine. If you want to no longer be in a place where alcohol is controlling you, and you want to be in the place of you controlling your own body and your own cravings. So if that is you, then you are in the right place. And please don't let this video be something that shames you, make you feel shame or feel bad about yourself for wherever you are in the journey of quitting or overcoming. Okay. So you're going to walk away with basically 5 tips to help you become alcohol free or reduce your alcohol with self-love, or again, whatever your vice is. Okay. So my story basically is that I overcame 22 years of drinking. I have been drinking since I was about 14 or 15 years old. And so I've basically, at this point in 2021, have been sober, which I really like to say alcohol free, since 2016. But before that, I for 4 years, I like reduced my alcohol intake by, I just say like 97%. Because I'd either go a whole year without drink. Well, within that 4 years, I've gone like a whole year without drinking, or I, maybe had like 1 to 2 drinks a year kind of thing. And then I hit 2016 and quit drinking completely. So I've been on this journey of shifting my relationship with alcohol since 2012. So I know this thing, and I have some tips that I want to share with you over the next couple of videos that will be coming out over the next couple of weeks. But I have 5 for you today. So I started drinking, 5 tips. I started drinking when I was 14, 15 years old. And basically it was because I was quiet and self-conscious and shy, and alcohol made me feel more outgoing. I just like knew it, basically from what I've seen on TV and how people come out of their shell when they drink. So that's what I did. But even at a young age, I overdrank to the point of basically blacking out, like the next day, not remembering what I did, what I said, and I would also cry a lot. Then in my 20s, I became a dancer in Atlanta. And so basically socializing was my job. So then I drank several times a week. And it was, again, just like when I started, I just could not stop. So I could be outgoing and cool at about 3 or 4 drinks because I drank straight liquor. I didn't need a whole lot, but there was just something inside of me, and it feels like this. It's like this monster that's like more inside of me. And so I would have to just keep giving it alcohol. And I would get into fights. I would be mean to my friends. I was just like literally like a handful. I'm surprised that so many people stayed my friend back then, because I was a lot to handle. And so I would quit for maybe a week or a couple days if I did something really shameful. I'm like, I'm never drinking again. And then the following week, I would be right back to this, maybe I'll just have 1 or 2 drinks. And then that would last for like a week. And then I was back full blown drinking. And so that was like all through my 20s of just being a dancer on and off, and more on than off. I drank. And then when I stopped dancing, I became a bartender. And so I was still in that environment of partying and drinking, and I could drink on the job. And so I did, because again, there was that socializing component and wanting to, put myself out there and be friendly versus the awkward, shy person. So I just continued to drink there. I was able to control it a bit better because I was still able to maintain my job. I mean, like serve the people and count the money and all that. Like I was able to function very well, even though I was drinking quite heavily. But there came this point where I was like, I don't want to continue this life. So it wasn't necessarily like a rock bottom with alcohol, like an accident or a breakup or a fight with a friend, and I just wanted to stop drinking. It was more like a life rock bottom where I just felt like I was experiencing the same life over and over. It felt like Groundhog's Day, that movie from the 80s, where he experienced the same day over and over, but it was like I was experiencing the same life over and over, the same drinking and smoking cigarettes, the same unhealthy relationships, the same types of jobs. And it just seemed like to be just this cycle. And that was just like, I just did not want to continue living that life cycle. And so my rock bottom was like, if I don't get out of this cycle, then I just want to die. Like, I don't want to be on this earth anymore. And when I reached that place, it was also like the bar I had been working at for about a year and a half, it just closed abruptly. Like I literally went to work and it was closed, like was not opening again. There was no notice or anything. So I was really in this place of like, something's got to change. And so that's when I kind of started my self-help journey, because I'm like, I don't want to continue to live this life. So like, what can I do to change this? And I didn't really know, but I just opened myself up, and something was like self-help. And I went to Barnes and Noble, and I just started getting into like personal development and reading and those types of books. And I remember I came across this video and I was learning about self-love, and this video basically said to ask yourself these two questions. If you loved yourself, what would you stop doing? If you loved yourself, what would you start doing? And I really took that seriously and took it to heart. And so when I sat with the questions, immediately it was like, I would stop drinking alcohol if I loved myself. And then the next following thought was, and also stop smoking cigarettes, because they kind of went like hand in hand. I knew like doing one, I would want to do the other. So like they both needed to go. And then what I would start doing was meditating. It was something I'd never done before, but like that's what the inner knowing was saying. And so my first tip would be committing to taking action as though you were already someone who loved themselves. Okay. Because at that moment, I wasn't someone who loved myself. I was really someone who was beating myself up for spent a good majority of my life basically drinking and partying. But I wanted to shift into someone that loved themselves. So I had to just like start taking action from that place. So commit right now, or whenever your moment is. It could be, I'm going to start next Monday or whatever it is, but commit to taking action as though you're already the person who loved themselves. Okay. So I stopped the drinking and I stopped the smoking, and I was ready to start loving myself, even though I didn't at the moment. And then so my next tip would be to just take it 30 days at a time. When I decided to stop drinking because of answering that question, I didn't say I'm done drinking forever. I couldn't even think that far out. I just needed to think about making some changes right then and there. So I just was like 30 days. And what ended up happening is that I just kept asking that question and loving myself more and more, and continuing to stay on that journey of not drinking. So sometimes when you think about doing something forever, it just feels like too much and too daunting, and you don't even try, or you just give up after a day or two because forever just seems so far away. And so this maybe isn't the best advice for someone who is maybe like in AA or wants to go that route. I would definitely say go all in on your sober journey if that's the route you're taking. But I'm just want to share with you my experience and how I changed my relationship with alcohol through self-love. And so that's where I was just creating a small timeline to work within. And the amazing thing about that is that you get to prove to yourself that you can do it, because your brain is going to say, like, you're never going to make it. You can't do this. You've been drinking or snacking or whatever it is for too long. You can't, quit forever. But I remember just saying, like, I can do anything for 30 days. Like, I can do anything for 30 days. And I did. And it actually wasn't really that hard. One, I was just really excited about this journey. And then another, I think really actually that was pretty much it. I was just like really excited about change and learning to love myself and wanting to become someone different. And I knew that I could not become someone different if I was doing the same things, such as drinking and blacking out. And I just want to give you an example of like one of my clients who wants to change her relationship with food. And so right now we're just starting with 2 days a week of just like, can you love yourself enough to change the way you eat 2 times a week? And like, that's where we're starting for her. So like, you have to decide like what you can commit to, that you feel like you can love yourself enough to honor. And I just want to say, so in the beginning, that first year for me asking those questions, I went a whole 12-month period and I'd only had 2 drinks within 12 months, and they were both at social events. And so at that 12-month period when I was, and probably even before then, brings me to the third step is like setting clear boundaries. So what happens that normally makes you want to drink or indulge in your vice? Set clear boundaries around that. So for me, I really only drank in social environments, even if it was just like me and my homegirl watching TV. We would drink. But if I was just chilling at home by myself, I rarely drank, or I would have like those little shot bottles, maybe like 1 or 2 shot bottles with a couple cigarettes, and then just be done for the evening and at home. So I knew that my biggest issue was being out around people. So I had to decide that I wasn't going to be going to bars with friends, that nobody was coming over here to drink and I was just going to sit there and not drink, or me go over to someone's house and they drink and I just sit there and not drink. I knew that I wasn't strong enough for that. So I basically began to distance myself from other people so that I could maintain that commitment of self-love and not drinking to myself. And I even had like this guy that I would see off and on, and that he would call and say like, let me just come over, you can just have 1 drink. And honestly, and I told him no. And like that led to my celibacy phase, which is a whole nother video that I do plan to tell you about. But again, it was just like really like setting those boundaries around who and what made me drink, and then like removing myself from that. And at first it was a little hard because those 2 times that I did drink, it was like somebody's birthday that I went to, and then just said like, I'm only going to have one drink, because I again couldn't really deal with that awkwardness of being the one who didn't drink. But I did make it through I think I made it through at least 90 days before I had that drink at the first social, birthday party that I had went to that year. So just think. Yeah, okay. So that's all I want to say about that, setting boundaries for yourself. That is one of the most important pieces. Okay, yeah, this is what I wanted to say. It is going to be awkward to say, no, you can't go hang out with, such and such, go to this party. And it is going to be awkward if you do decide to go and then other people are drinking and you're not drinking. It's going to be awkward, but love yourself enough to be the weird, awkward one who is not drinking. Because that leads me to the fourth part, which is don't abandon yourself. So going back to the very first time I drank, which was to feel outgoing in the social at the party, if I could have just been with myself and been with that awkwardness instead of comparing myself to the other social butterflies, and if I could have just sat with the self-consciousness and the awkwardness I was feeling by being shy, I might not have ever drank at the strip club, or throughout my teenage years, because like I could have learned to be with that awkwardness that I felt around who I think I should be at parties. But I couldn't deal with that angst and that unpleasantness of my own self-judgment. But I also had people say to me sometimes, like, you're more fun when you drank. When I was trying not to drink in my teenage years at social events, I did have people say, you're more fun when you drink, which led me to go ahead and grab a drink. But if I could have sat with that awkwardness and uncomfortableness, then I wouldn't have needed alcohol. So alcohol is a way, using alcohol or food or men, whatever that distraction is, it's really just us abandoning ourselves because we cannot be with who we are in that moment amongst or amidst what we're going through. So we go through, just bear with me, it's like so many ideas and things coming at one time. So it's like when you're having a bad day, or when the tire goes flat, or when more work got put on you at work, and then you get off and you're feeling frustrated and frazzled, getting a drink or over snacking is you running away from yourself, because you can't be with the you that is frustrated. You can't be with the you that is overwhelmed. You can't be with the you that is angry or sad. So you go and get the drink to avoid hurt, to avoid the authentic you that is happening in that moment. And so if you can learn to be with you and whatever you're feeling or experiencing, and then you can definitely stop drinking or significantly reduce your drinking, or again, whatever your vice is. You just have to learn to be with it, be with the angst, be with the frustration. And I just want to tell you, when I started that journey and my job had just ended and I was kind of still like bartending here and there, but like very few and far between, because I just didn't want to be in that environment. But like there was like really no money coming in. And so my house started with like when in the beginning phases of foreclosure, Then the electrical wiring went out in the house, like whereas like 90% of the electricity, like when you turned it on, like in the kitchen, the stove, the refrigerator, my bedroom, it will start zapping. The electrical boxes start zapping. So I had to turn that breaker off. And I basically just lived in here, which was like my spare room, and was just like eating fruits and sandwiches because I couldn't, use the fridge or the stove. So I was like going through the worst shit that I'd ever been through, and I still didn't drink and I still didn't grab a cigarette. I knew that if I made it through that I would be able to make it through anything without drinking. So I had to be with the shame that I was feeling for being in that financial situation, for just whatever I was feeling around, the house, well, shame, the house, being in the beginning stages of foreclosure, like all of that I was feeling, I just had to be with it and not lean on any vices and just be with myself and like hold myself and love myself and tell myself that it was going to be okay. So if you can do that for yourself when you feel those unpleasant emotions coming up, if you can just be with you and hold you, you can make it through changing your relationship with alcohol, with food, or with men. I honestly think first it does take the commitment, but like really this is the main piece, because we run away from ourselves so much and we want to escape and we want to numb. If you can be with yourself through the worst of it, you can nip this in the bud. So when your brain says just one drink or just one slice of cake, or just have sex with him one more time, even though I know he don't like me, ask yourself, what are you running away from? Like, what am I running away from? What don't I want to feel? And then can you love yourself enough to be with whatever it is you don't want to feel or whatever you don't want to see or deal with? But even if you can't, and you go have the drink or you eat the food or have the sex, can you love yourself enough to know at least I checked in, at least I am more aware of my habits and patterns? Because I truly believe awareness can lead to significant amounts of change. When we are unconscious to what we are doing and experiencing and just reacting, it's really hard to break our patterns. But when you can become aware and more aware of what's going on inside of you, then now you get to this place where you want to change, because there's so much awareness, you can't deny it anymore. It's like right in your face. So the fact that you checked in, like love yourself enough to allow that to be enough if you still aren't able to uphold your commitments to yourself. And 5 is to find resources or get help if it seems like it is too much, or like, too much to do on your own, or if you've been trying to do it on your own and it isn't working, like you can't get yourself to make the change, get help. Like asking for help is not weakness, it is a strength. To me, it's weak to keep struggling with the same thing over and over on your own and not get help. Like that is insanity. Okay. So get help in whatever way you need. So my journey of being alcohol free, like I didn't go to, AA or anything along those lines, but I did work with a coach. Like I've been working with a coach for 7 years, you know what I mean? So like anything, I started the beginning of my self-love journey on my own, and then my self-love led me to reaching out to get help. And that's when I started working with a coach. but all the changes I've made have not been on my own. And I will forever work with a coach or a healer because I know that that is strength. We just can't get very far on our own. And so before I go, I want to just let you know that I have a program and it is called Goddess Self-Love and Alignment Journey. Okay. It is a magical 8-week program to help you love and accept yourself and to increase your self-esteem and raise your vibration. Because when we are like in trauma or in the midst of whatever our pain or emotional suffering is, a lot of times we are in shame, we are hating ourselves or disliking ourselves, and our vibration is low and we don't have much energy. So I've created this program that involves the self-love, self-acceptance, and also raising your vibration. So it's a soulful and spiritual, sacred inner journey of rebuilding your relationship with yourself. And so there are 3 pillars that we follow in this program. And the first one is awareness. And so I have a program that you'll go through, just like a 3-day program of really helping you to dive into some of your blocks to help bring everything to the surface. So like we know what we're working with. And then the next phase, we're going to do 8 weeks together of what I call ceremony. And this is where our ceremonies, or like our goddess sessions, are really curated to what we find in the awareness portion. And so, for instance, one client, I was able to see how much she needed work with her inner child. So like an inner child ceremony looked like we open up with prayer and meditation and really going inward and connecting with her inner child. And then I had this exercise where she connected and she drew, like connected to her inner child through like drawing, and was able to uncover some messages in her inner child, told her basically in ways that told her how she wasn't taking care of her inner child, let her know how her adult self wasn't taking care of her child self. And so she was able to see the ways that she was abandoning herself and then make those changes in order to elevate her relationship with herself. Okay. So like that's what the ceremonies are. They're like very intimate and sacred inner experiences. And then the third part of the pillars is spiritual self-care. And that is around your homework. And this is where we have practices. You'll have practices at home to help you connect with your true self or your inner child, whatever it is you may need, so that you can deepen into your self-love and raise your vibration in between our weekly ceremonies. And so right now I am offering sliding scale pricing, which is up to 50% off of the full price. So this is for the person that may be going through some things financially. There are options for you. So if this is something that you want to do, you should hop on this, because I don't know how long I'm going to be offering that part. Okay. So I want to invite you in. This is your time to heal and to love yourself more. You don't have to continue suffering emotionally, being on that emotional roller coaster, trying to numb yourself with alcohol or whatever your vice is. This is the time for you to really learn to love yourself and how to be with yourself and how to deal with the real issues that are going on within you, instead of trying to drink or eat them away. All right. So you can learn more about this at essenceturner.com/self-love journey, or just go to essenceturner.com and it'll be on the tab at the top of the website. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions. But it has been my joy and pleasure serving you. And If you like this video, please like it, click like so that it's seen more. If there, I would love to hear how this video touched you or impacted you, or like what was your favorite tip or the one that you needed to hear the most. Please leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. And if there's anything you want to know about self-love or would like me to make a video about, please put that in the comment or message me as well. All right, so like, comment, and other than that, I will talk to you later, but I really would love to see you inside of this one-on-one sacred journey. Talk to you later.